I'm here at the Falls of the Ohio State Park in Clarksville, Indiana. And up ahead of me is the Interpretive Center. Now, it costs a little extra to get into, but I plan on going in there and looking around here in a bit. And we have the Devonian era fossil beds. Sorry if I got the wrong name for that time period. Down below. And we're going to look around that some more. I was out here on Tuesday and it was brighter out. So pictures won't be as pretty this time around because of the lighting. But it's not going to be too bad. Oh, also you see a statue up ahead of me of Lewis and Clark. My understanding for that is this is where they met to begin their expedition. I believe they met at Clark's brother's place, George Rogers Clark. And he had a cabin location someplace downriver from where I'm at right now. Unfortunately, it was destroyed or lost. They moved another cabin there, and then that one was vandalized and burnt here in the last couple of years, I think. But my understanding is they're rebuilding it as part of Origin Park eventually. But we'll look around inside here in a bit and also go look at the fossil beds. Awfully good view out here with the Ohio River. A little closer on the Lewis and Clark statue. I decided to do some hiking before going into the Interpretive Center. Also, I'll probably have to be more quiet in there since it is essentially a museum. One of the problems with the Falls of the Ohio, for some people, depending on what time you come, you can smell of rotting fish a whole lot. Unfortunately, a lot of fish get trapped when they close the dam, and they get trapped in one of these little puddles and die. I'm not sure, but I think those are vultures? We'll walk up and say hello to them. They look like cute little birds, right? Hello, vultures. How you doing? Just want to get close enough. Well, I could be wrong. I don't know. Someone else tell me what exactly these guys are. But they certainly don't seem to be as scared. Alright. I'll check you guys out later. Train going by up there. You may be able to hear that one. I think that's called the K&I Bridge. I could be mistaken. And my understanding, this used to be a shallow sea, you know, millions and millions and millions of years ago in the Devonian era, and had coral reefs and so forth. So you'll come out here and you'll find fossilized coral, brachiopods, pelsiopods, crinoid stems and crinoid flowers, and various other odds and ends. I'll probably find out more about that when I do one of the guided tours and hikes here later on today. I took a class on this place when I was in elementary school, but we're talking about many, many years ago, so there's some things I just don't remember. Crikey. Here we have an Ohio River snake. Just kidding, it's a rope that washed up here. When I first saw it, though, I was like, what? Nice view of the Louisville skyline. More buzzards. And a swan, I think? No, sorry, not swan, sorry, crane. And down here, closer to the dam. And it's kind of pretty out here. But it does smell of rotting fish pretty bad. And I'm not even all that sensitive, as many people know. But I'm going to go out here a little bit more and look around. I don't think I've been out here since, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago. I'm thinking of that song, Roly-Poly Fish Heads. You'll find a lot of those guys down here. And the Ohio River seriously needs something to clean up all the debris that gets washed up. Because the only reason I'm even seeing it here is because the water is receded. But imagine there's so much stuff underneath the water that I'm not even seeing that is not great for the environment. And I'm not exactly a huge environmentalist. The buzzards are chill though. In most of the park you can't actually collect any of the fossils. However, there's some debris they've left here back behind the Interpretive Center that my understanding is you can go through. And I don't know if I'll find anything. Probably not. Best place I found fossils at was some kind of creek in Friendship, Indiana. I guess because no one's picked over them before. Walking up to the Interpretive Center. Apparently this is where the flood got up to in '97. And I would have been living... No, actually I think I just moved away from Jeffersonville by then. So I don't hardly recall it. And if it's that high, considering where I'm at during '97, I wonder where the marker might be for the flood of '37, because that one was the one that caused major problems around here. There's actually a story I have about my grandma on that. She called me up a couple years, I think, before she died, because she found a bunch of water on her floor, and she'd lived through the 37 flood, and she was like, oh, Adrian, come out here, check this out, what's going on? And she was on the top of basically a big hill. She was so high up, unless you see if your next door neighbor is named Noah and he's building an ark, then you should be worried, but that's about it. But I came out and it was just a leaky air conditioner, but it left a pretty lasting impact on her. Nice view from up here on the observation deck. You get to see everything in like one big layout. I think I'm gonna go put on some water shoes eventually because it's a little mucky out there, and I just found out that I need to get new tennis shoes because these ones are leaking. Inside the interpretive center, and they've decked this out. I haven't been in here I think in like 20 years. Looks like they set up some kind of walk through time thing. Devonian period. I said era earlier, so I was wrong on that. Little room they set up to look like a coral reef. Oh, and I remember these turnbox things elsewhere before. Actually, I remember them supposedly having something like this. You could actually drive an audio lecture at Charlestown State Park on Rose Island. But apparently here it's just for playing around with the displays. A little more of this. Cretaceous period. That's the one everybody probably, well, Mesozoic in general, everybody knows more about it than the Devonian, I dare say. I guess because the creatures are a little more interesting to most people. Got some more stuff on mammoths and mastodons and such. Alright. A little more in here. My uncle had several rifles like that. I have one at my house still. It's pretty cool. I think it has some kind of like rosewood stock. It's awfully pretty. You can tell someone put a lot of time into it.
Drills and more drills. It was here the Corps expanded to 33 men who shared experiences with peace.
All struggling to survive this beautiful but dangerous underwater world.
Cute little fishy. I tried my hand at flint knapping and chert knapping and so forth years and years ago. Never got particularly good at it. But if you were skilled, there's a lot of stuff you could make out of stone. One of the things I read in one of my own flint knapping books was that some of the more elderly Native Americans would, well, they couldn't necessarily go out and hunt and forage as easily as the younger ones, but they had other skills, for instance, making these kind of tools. How true that is, I don't know. It's been years since I read that book, but it sounds like something good to do. That poor raccoon has seen better days. I'm inside that. I'm going to be mispronouncing it. I always heard wigwam, but I think they've pronounced it a little different. The language you're hearing in the background is Shawnee, apparently. Okay, I found out some information from the lady inside the interpretive center. Apparently, not all the river necessarily belongs to Kentucky. Apparently, most of the river is on the Kentucky side. But apparently those McAlpine dams, which I think were completed originally in 1830 and I imagine refurbished several times since then, that marks the boundary. So anything beyond that wall you see out there, which is the McAlpine Dam, that's Kentucky. It gets a little bit more questionable some other places. And she was telling me that if you have a Kentucky fishing license, you can fish as long as you cast your line that way. But that's pretty much the only way you'd probably cast it for most times. I guess I could probably get across to that rock outcropping on the other side, but definitely would take water shoes, I think. Also, you may be confused by the name Falls of the Ohio. Back before 1830, when the original dam was completed, this was essentially rapids, and it was hard to get around it. So the reason that Jeffersonville, Clarksville, and New Albany all exist, including also Louisville, is because people would have to do portage and get the boats out of the water, get around it, and then come down. Maybe some boats could go through it, but they put in the dam so they could raise the water level on the opposite side, and you'd be able to ship with it without having put everything across land. So that's just a rough history, and I can't say I'm any kind of expert. Lots of informational brochures inside the interpretive center. Decided to head over to Jeffersonville to get some lunch. It's right on the border. I remember when they were building this, I think it was early 90s, and they were doing some kind of campaign drive for money, and you could get your name on a brick. Out here on the fossil beds, wore some water shoes, but that's not so great on the rocky terrain. And it was a prettier day out when I was here last, but it was way too hot. A little bit of overcast here. I'd love to get over to the other side, but the water might have to be a little bit lower before I can actually do that. I might try to drive someplace else and see if I can find any other sites to look at. Down here nearby, what I think they call the caves, and there's some other things like that. To call them actual caves would be probably a bit of a stretch, but it's rock formations. I went by those fossil piles of debris up the hill, and couldn't find anything particularly interesting, but I didn't look that much. I'm going to go to French Banana, I hope, this September, and I'll probably look for brachiopods and other fossils there. Seems like a pretty nice fishing spot. Not that I actually fish. And now it's raining. But a beautiful view of me and the Louisville skyline, sort of. And a little bit more of the rest of the park. I think I found a shrine to the god known as plastic. Okay, that's a little weird. Alright, I'm here at the GRC cabin site. I thought it was supposed to have been burned down recently, and that cabin wasn't even the original cabin. I think that was a replacement of a similar era that they moved here. Alright, Lewis and Clark Expedition, 1803 to 1806. Near this site, on October 26, 1803, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, with the nucleus of the core of discovery, together set off down the Ohio River on the epic journey to explore the Louisiana Purchase and Pacific Northwest. Alright, let's see what's actually up here. Alright, the home of George Rogers Clark. And it does look like whatever was here a few years ago got burnt down. I don't know if I've ever actually came out here while everything was still standing. And technically I think parts of this are closed. But there's nothing to keep you from coming up in here, and it doesn't say you can't come in here. So yeah, come up here and take a look. They took out that building, but they didn't take out this one for whatever reason. I remember hearing part of the McAlpine Dam was hydroelectric, but I guess that must be what that part is. I think that's about the end of this particular video for me, because I'm not sure what else to show out here. And I think technically this George Rogers Clark cabin is part of the Fossil House State Park. The borderline is kind of strange in how it draws it. But that's about it, and hope you enjoyed the video as much as I stuttered, and you all have a good day.